My name is Matthew Peterson, and I am in a partnership position with the Department of Conservation, the Conservation Districts, and NRCS as a soil health specialist. We are at the Manhattan PMC and looking over one of their cover crop plots. Yeah, lifelong Kansas resident, grew up on a farm in central Kansas, and actually, yeah, grew up farming. I've been in, well, went from production to commercial application, and I also did a lot of agronomic scouting, research, and research plot development. To me, soil health is the ability of the soil to provide really a living to the producer. Everything's got to be in place that it's a system that everything has to work together to provide what the producer needs to survive, basically. And as far as what I would look at is, if anyone had a concern, is you need to be able to look at the field. You need to be able to be out and see what's growing. That's kind of coming from my scouting background. You need to be out and see the issues with the producer and work with them. What are you seeing? Are we seeing the same? And how do we go the diagnosis, and where do we go from there as far as trying to fix the problem? Yeah, no-till and cover crops, and some of my background again is with growing up on a farm. Is I grew up on a conventional till farm where we, especially central Kansas, plow continuous wheat, and so a lot of experience getting away from that for a while, and through school and conservation is moving more toward no-till and cover crop systems, and a lot of it, especially with no-till, is moving toward the conservation side of keeping your soil in place. And I think that's where a lot of it starts, is keeping what we have there in its place and then building upon that from there. And then we start adding in cover crops to build organic matter to provide a cover, to increase water infiltration, to keep armor on the surface, to shield it from rain, make sure we don't seal off the surface, and then start causing the runoff that basically starts adding up problems down the line.
My name is Brice Custer. We are at our farm outside of Ocala, Kansas. I am a first-generation farmer. I had from my grandpa farmed, but my skipped a generation. My dad did not farm. He worked for a cooperative most of his career. So I'll be a first-generation farmer. Started farming in 1993. Probably tried some no-till up until 2005. 2005 we went full no-till. 2008 we started cover crops, and then from there on we've kind of got into some intercropping and trying some different things to try to keep pushing our envelope. For us, we do not have cattle on our operation, so we don't run cattle, so we're always trying to think of what we can do to push the system harder without the incorporation of cattle all the time. Seeing what's new, seeing what we can do to try to simulate. We can't ever, totally simulate the cattle action, but what can we do, by adding different, like biochar, different scenarios that the grazing guys might not be doing, but we're trying to do to try to up, the system and push it as far as we can. Yeah, so yeah, it's interesting. Everybody always has a different deal. For me, as the selling seed, I have a checklist. I'm going to ask you tons of questions. What's your goal? Do you want to graze? Do you want better water infiltration? Do you want weed suppression? Do you want this? And unfortunately, all of them say yes. I want it all. But it's a really tough system that you have to give and take somewhere in there. You can't just give you the one mix that's going to go out there and do it all for you the whole time. So soil health to me was just, it's kind of tough. We thought regenerative ag was where we needed to be. We had to be there. We had to be regenerative. We needed to be this if we wanted to be sustainable to last through it, So we had to figure out a better way to utilize the money we were putting into the soil to make sure that we weren't going to not be around for the next generation of this farm. So for soil health for us is just an improvement of the soil and trying to reduce inputs and be the best that you can at what level you're comfortable with of profitability. The toughest challenges, you know, for us, as we discussed a little bit earlier before the video started, was herbicide carryover. Boy, that was just a tough one. We were using a lot of chemicals that we weren't paying attention to the labels, and we were getting a lot of injury to the cover crop, not the growth we were expecting due to chemical carryover. Landlords understanding this is always a tough one. You know, if you're doing it on a crop share basis or something like that, getting them to understand and not have the pressure of the neighborhood saying, what is that weedy mess your tenant has going on out there, you know. So very good communication with your landlords we thought was key to try to make them understand what you were trying to achieve and do for their land if they potentially would want to sell or pass it on to their next generation. You know, you got to tell them it's it's an improvement of what is going on the soil. Yeah, so we try to keep a root running in the ground as long as we can. Very hard for us, you know, to do that all the time. A lot of it's logistic problems for us of just too many acres, you know, and it's hard to get over everything. Timing is crucial, it seems like anymore. The rains come and then they don't come, and so you try to figure out. But yeah, so originally when we started this, we were trying to eliminate fallow. You know, now we've eliminated fallow, but now it's kind of hard to squeeze cover crops in when you have a living root growing as much as you can if you're trying to do a lot of cash crops still to stay profitable and moving in there. But that's where our goal is. Anytime we have an idle period, be it for 3 months, you know, we try to get something growing.
A big thing with runoff and, you know, losing one area, especially repeatedly year after year in conventional systems, where once you lose so much, you get down to your subsurface, and really in a good working system, soil and organic matter is what's going to help us through holding our nutrients. It helps us work better with our chemistries as far as weed controls, fungicides, all the above. And that's some of the biggest problems I've seen is a lot of nutrient loss. It causes a lot of problems due to runoff. And if we can help hold things in place and start rebuilding some of the topsoil and organic matter that we need, then we can help to start alleviating some of those problems.
Yeah, so we're, like I said before, we're 100% no-till. We trying a little intercropping with some seeds. Other than that, I mean, that's just, like I said, you're always planting something green. I believe it's the goals of what each individual producer wants. And so I don't think there's just a set deal you can say, you know, there's the 4 to 5 principles of soil health, you know, but there's a lot you can do inside each one of those principles that is, you know, good too. But yeah, I think it's the overall goals of what you're trying to achieve for, you know, your deal. If you're a cattle guy grazing on it, you know, you want the better water infiltration, all that. But, you know, weed suppressions, some of that they don't care because the cows are going to eat the weeds, you know. So, I mean, it's very defined on what that producer or what the individual wants his overall goal to be, and then you work with that. No, our overall goal is we just like to see, you know, farmers do the best they can, farmers, neighbors, be proactive and come talk, go find these videos that you guys are doing and stuff like that versus not doing anything, you know, because the amount of people's failure is, it's just our ego's always that way, that we don't want to fail, and if we fail, we don't want somebody talking about our failure, you know. So it's really tough, I think, that you just got to do it and just put your thick skin on and get through it and get going on it, and then ask questions. There's people that have experience all over that will be able to guide you and help you through whatever you're trying to do on your journey in soil health.